Live from the River Market in downtown Little Rock, this is Channel 7 News Live at 5.
Curtis Reese Jr. is back behind bars after a 3.5-day search that ended today in Cleburne County. Thanks for watching tonight. I'm Beth Hines.
And I'm Scott Inman. Reese was found hiding in a cave in the McJester community and arrested this morning. Channel 7's Matt Johnson is live where it all went down with details. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Scott. Well, Curtis Reese Jr. is finally going back to prison after being caught in a cave just behind that tree line behind me. But it's not the one he broke out of where he's being sent back. He's going to be sent to the Varner Supermax facility, the most guarded in the state. And after a massive manhunt, authorities are relieved.
Curtis Reese Jr. may have been on the run for 3.5 days, but today he walked back into the arms of the law.
The look on his face said it all. He's just done. He's defeated.
U.S. Marshals, ADC, and state police led the early morning search that turned up the convicted killer in the McJester area of Cleburne County.
We knew that the suspect was hunkered down somewhere behind us on this ravine, and so this was our target area.
Authorities say Reese had some outside help who drove him here, and when they fessed up, it wasn't long before Reese was back in handcuffs.
The suspects did in fact lie to law enforcement at the beginning, and finally came clean and gave us the information that we needed.
The dogs and the helicopters and the hundreds of law enforcement have all headed home, glad they caught their guy.
Local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, when we get together, we can pretty much get things done quickly, and that's exactly what happened here.
Now it's expected that authorities are going to charge the other people who they believe helped Reese escape, and they actually believe that he was driven here. Now Reese is also facing more charges himself, most likely second-degree escape, which will bring 10 more years to his already 40 years he was serving in prison. Scott, back to you.
Wow. Matt, a lot of action in a small place like McJester. What are residents saying there about what all happened today?
Well, they're pretty shocked, as you could imagine. They woke up around 8:30 this morning with SWAT team everywhere, helicopters in the sky, but they're all relieved. They had no idea he was in the area, but, you know, they're very thankful he is back behind bars. Scott.
As we are, and the rest of our viewing areas as well. Matt Johnson live tonight. Thanks very much for the reports. Some developing news into our station tonight. Little Rock bomb squads are at the Clinton National Airport working to x-ray a suspicious package.
That's right. The package caught the attention of a bomb-sniffing dog less than 1 hour ago. Channel 7's Janelle Lilly is there live. And Janelle, what can you tell us about what's happening?
Well, Beth and Scott, all of this information is just coming in. We're actually going to have a press conference in about 2 minutes. For now, what I can tell you is that this airport is closed. You only need to see the line of people standing outside of the building right now to see that there's going to be a lot of people missing flights and connections, and a lot of folks whose bags just aren't coming in. As you said, this all started when an ATF dog caught a sniff of a suspicious bag. The man that owns that piece of luggage, we're told, missed his flight into Little Rock and is in Dallas at this point. We don't know yet if there's anything actually inside of the bag, but that's what the bomb squad is looking to determine right now. I just got off the phone minutes ago with the bomb squad, and they told me that they've already x-rayed one panel of that bag and are reading that x-ray as we speak. They expect to bring one more x-ray machine in, get the other side of it, and that result should be in within the next 10 minutes. They'll be able to see what they're dealing with, and then they're going to make a plan from there. I just asked the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport spokesperson when we can expect this airport to reopen, and they said as of right now, there is no timetable on that. It's going to be closed until they can determine exactly what is inside this package. And of course, we're going to have more updates for you. A lot of stranded passengers here. Back to you guys.
That's right. Maybe a long wait for them tonight. Janelle Lilly reporting live in Little Rock. Thank you.
Updating a story we told you about yesterday on Live at 5. A suspect who led police on a chase through 2 counties is now in police custody. Officers finding 39-year-old Africa Wells this afternoon in Blytheville. Formal charges are pending. After a brief break for Superstorm Sandy, the presidential race is back in full force today. Both President Obama and Mitt Romney charging into battleground states. Romney is spending the entire day in Virginia, and Mr. Obama is in Wisconsin and also planning to be in Ohio and Iowa. With the two men in a dead heat in the national polls, the candidates' schedules for the last 5 days of the campaign might be the best way to show where the race really stands.
We'll win Wisconsin again. We'll win this election. And together we'll renew those bonds and reaffirm that spirit that makes the United States of America the greatest nation on earth.
You know the consequence of what this election means. You have full hearts, and we can't lose. We need you, Virginia. We've got to take back America. I'm counting on you.
For both candidates, the next 5 days are going to be around-the-clock campaigning and an intense sprint to the finish line. Just 5 days left until Election Day, and more than 295,000 Arkansans have already cast ballots. Early voting goes through Monday, and of course the general election is Tuesday, November 6th.
School administrators in one Jefferson County district are trying to stem a small mono outbreak. Doctors have confirmed more than a dozen cases of mononucleosis amongst Whitehall School District students recently. The Department of Health says the spread of the virus serves as a reminder that students should make sure to wash their hands frequently, refrain from sharing drinks or eating utensils, and to make sure to always cough into their sleeve. Superintendent Larry Smith even sent out a letter reminding parents to do everything they can to keep their kids healthy.
The parents need to be aware of those symptoms and those signs, and making sure that they're looking for that to make sure their kids are going to be safe.
The Department of Health also warns that parents should keep their child home if they have a temperature of 105 or higher.
As we enter November and into the winter months, we want to let you know about our coat drive happening again this year. We're teaming up with Hangers Cleaners to collect warm jackets for the needy. Last year, more than 3,000 donated coats were brought in through the Coats for Kids program, and this year we're hoping to bring in 5,000 coats.
Arkansas is beautiful. We had a number of schools that picked it up as their school project, collecting coats. We had some great kids that had birthday parties that had their friends bring coats instead of a present. And just our customers and people in Arkansas just donated a lot of coats.
And it's not just for kids. You can bring any size coat to drop off at any Hangers location, and the program runs until December 1st.
The State Game and Fish Commission says it's putting 17 new wildlife officers into the field. The Arkansas agency says the cadets will be spread among 17 counties after completing more than 700 hours of training.
Still to come on Live at 5 when it comes to punishing your children. Where do you draw the line? Tonight, Joan Early with a closer look at a controversial topic. It's been around for a long time, to spank or not to spank.
But first, still looking for big changes in the weather this weekend. Barry will let you know when colder air arrives coming up after the break. Stay with us. You're watching Channel 7 News Live at 5 from the River Market.
Channel 7 News Live at 5. Brought to you by UAMS, Everett Buick GMC, and by USA Drug. Skycams, sponsored by Middleton Heat and Air. From the weather team with the most experience, this is Channel 7 meteorologist Barry Brandt.
And we have a young man right here in the River Market tonight. And what is your name?
Blaine.
Blaine. Blaine, are you having fun? Yeah, it's a nice day, isn't it? Did you go trick-or-treating last night?
Yes.
You did. What did you dress up as?
A transformer.
A transformer. Very nice. Did you get some candy? Uh-huh. Yeah, me too. Go home and eat some candy. Thanks for talking with me today. Thanks for being on here. Boy, what a great day in the River Market. This is a fantastic night. More of this dry weather, a little bit warmer today. Now, come the weekend, cooler air is going to come back into the forecast. Let's take a look at the month that was in October. Certainly a nice month. Oh, it's been good. How good? Well, finally, we finished a month with a below normal average temperature. The last time that happened was a year ago in October. Now, we got close in August and September, but this was the first month that was below average, and it actually was quite a bit below average, so it was a nice October. As far as November is concerned, well, we start the month where we typically have temperatures like today of 69 degrees. That's the average high, but by the end of the month, look what our average high will be, only 57 degrees. This is the month that we really cool down. Boy, it's been some great sunrises and sunsets with just a few scattered high clouds, and this one was sent in to us from Lake Balboa in Hot Springs Village. Myra Key sent that in to photo@KATV.com. You can send your great photos in there as well. Tonight's going to be another stellar one. There will be a few scattered clouds tomorrow in that northwesterly flow aloft. Here's the setup in the atmosphere now. We see warm air blowing up in advance of the front that will come down and touch our state, but the weekend rainmaker is still well out to the west. That's the one that's coming through this weekend, and it will really take us on a roller coaster ride from 80 and then the low 80s on Saturday back to the 60s for Sunday and Monday. Another one of these powerful fronts. This one doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with, though. So I'm going to say a small chance in the afternoon and evening on Saturday, and then early Sunday morning before clearing back out. If you're headed to homecoming in Fayetteville, Hogs versus Tulsa, 64 degrees. The front will have already gone through there. It'll start to cool down during the game. Only an isolated shower possible, not a good chance of rain. Our Middleton sky cam is beautiful, looking over the river market here. Right now, 70 degrees in Little Rock, down just a little from our daytime high. South wind at 6 miles an hour. Now look at where the warm area is. Almost 80 at DeQueen, but 66 at Jonesboro. So the warmer air is kind of overspreading the state from the southwest. Futurecast says that we stay on the south side of the front primarily for the next 24 hours. Now there's the start of high school football games tomorrow night. I know there are a few tonight too. But then the front begins to enter the state. 11 o'clock Saturday morning, it will have gone through Fayetteville, but not through here, so that's why it'll be so warm. And then the front moves on down through the state with scattered showers later in the day on Saturday. Tonight's forecast, mostly clear, not as cool, a low of 50, and it'll be in the 60s, well into the 60s if you go to a high school football game tonight. Tomorrow, up to 80. Not quite record territory, but not far from it. We'll have a mostly sunny sky, and then that rain chance and the sharp drop-off in temperature from Saturday late into Sunday morning. In fact, Saturday night, it'll start to turn a little bit cooler. You ready for some more good 60-plus degree weather? There it is next week. Scott and Beth.
Okay, Barry, thanks so much.
Next on Live at 5, how do you discipline your kids? There's a growing anti-spanking movement in this country to punish parents who spank their kids. So how does it affect you and your family? Joan Early has the story coming up.
And later, maintaining weight loss. Why is it that most dieters tend to gain all of the weight back after working so hard to lose it? Well, a new study shedding some light on why it happens and what you can do about it. We'll be right back.
Winner of the Emmy Award for Newscast. You're watching Channel 7 News live at 5 with Scott Inman, Beth Hunt, and meteorologist Barry Brandt.
To spank or not to spank? It's a question every parent has to decide. In the U.S., more than 90% of parents say they have spanked their children at least on occasion.
But as Joan Early tells us in today's Family First report, most experts say there are better choices when it comes to disciplining your children. And just recently, doctors in Canada began pushing for a national law to ban the spanking of children. At the same time, in Delaware, a bill was signed into law that can punish parents for spanking their own children. It appears that an anti-spanking movement is growing. So what does that mean for you and your family?
Just recently, a group of doctors in Canada began pushing for a law that would ban the spanking of children. At the same time, in the state of Delaware, a bill was just signed into law that could punish parents for spanking their own children. As this anti-spanking movement begins to gain ground, what does this mean for you and your family?
I'm quite capable of distinguishing the innocent from the troublemakers, miss. This one is a troublemaker, and I'll thank you for not interfering.
Spanking used to be such a normal part of family life, it wasn't unusual to even see it on popular television shows. But in the past 2 decades, study after study highlighting the negative effects corporal punishment can have on kids has made spanking less politically correct, even though most people we found support it.
I think sparing the rod is not a good deal. That's kind of the way I was raised. I don't believe that a child should be beat, but I think a swat on the rear end and tell him to sit there for 5 minutes and give him a timeout is a very good thing.
My father, he spanked me until I was 10, and he did it as a form of discipline, like a timeout, but just to show us how bad our punishment actually was and never to do it again. And I think it's good for a child because it makes them learn that that really is wrong. And without it, I think that just timeout doesn't actually get the point across.
Yeah, I'm kind of old school with it. The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So you need to talk to your kids and find out what the problems are. And then, you know, if there's a problem that warrants spanking, yeah, you need to. That's what that backside's for back there.
For many, the decision to spank is rooted in religion. Dr. Matthew Pate, a criminologist, believes that's why it is still legal in many southern states to administer corporal punishment in school. Pate, who grew up in Whitehall, just published a book called Corporal Punishment Around the World. For 2 years, he researched the history, the use, and the effects of corporal punishment in different cultures. So, what is his advice for parents?
I'm not a parent, and so it might come as some, sort of armchair quarterbacking. But strictly as a person who has studied the history of corporal punishment across the globe, I would be very hesitant.
Arkansas is one of those states that allows corporal punishment in our schools. Guidelines differ from district to district, but parents are all given the opportunity to opt out of allowing their children to be spanked at school. Cabot Superintendent Dr. Tony Thurman oversees more than 10,000 students in 15 different schools. So far this year, administrators in his district have used corporal punishment 15 times. He says it is never done without talking to the parents first.
It's a last resort. It's not a first option. And it's after we've tried other means of changing the behaviors. And typically it's with the parent saying, look, we've tried everything else, and that discussion happening between the administrator and the teacher and the parent.
For most kids, Thurman says just the threat of being paddled at school is a deterrent. So does the same threat work at home? Dr. Nicholas Long, Director of Pediatric Psychology at Arkansas Children's Hospital, cautions parents against spanking. He says parents who hit their children open their families up to several risks.
What happens over time is that you have to spank harder and more frequently to have the same effect. And most parents don't set out to abuse their kids. They just kind of take spanking or whatever corporal punishment they were using, and it just escalates as they lose their temper and it gets out of hand.
When used correctly, Long says options like timeout, taking away privileges, and severe grounding are more effective than spanking and less damaging.
What parents really need to do is try to anticipate problems. We can't anticipate all the issues we're going to have with our children, but when they're in that moment where they have to intervene with their child, if they've thought about some other things other than spanking, they may be more likely to use those approaches that, again, can be just as effective.
No matter how you decide to discipline your children, Dr. Long suggests making it a point to praise your children when they're being good and when they're not being good. He says you should try to calmly discipline them without anger or frustration. Joan Early, Channel 7 News.
Thank you, Joan. Well, we all know there are a slew of diets out there that make various claims to take off the excess pounds.
I think I've tried just about every one of them. Maybe you have too. The challenge, however, is keeping the weight off, and researchers now suggest a different approach. We're going to explain it next. You can lose weight on almost any diet if you follow the weight loss program. Researchers say that after the weight comes off, people tend to stop practicing the changes they made while dieting, such as healthy eating, exercising, or logging what they eat. Studies showed that within the first year after stopping a diet program, people put back on up to 50% of the weight loss. Researchers wanted to know if learning how to maintain weight before starting a diet would make a difference. So they studied 267 overweight and obese women who met for 28 weeks. One group spent the first 8 weeks learning maintenance skills. The other focused on losing weight and spent the last 8 weeks learning how to keep it off. At the end of the 28-week program, women in both groups had lost about 17 pounds. 1 year later, the maintenance first group had regained an average of only 3 pounds, while the women who lost weight first regained 7 pounds. So you may be more successful maintaining that new look if you know how to keep the pounds off before you actually start losing it.
The price of crude oil was up 85 cents a barrel today to close at 87.09.
The stock market posted gains. The Dow was up 136 points, closing at 13,232. The NASDAQ was up 42. We'll be right back. updated information from the Clinton National Airport officials telling us x-rays have come back on that suspicious package, and they tell our Janelle Lilly that the airport will open back up in the next few minutes. Janelle Lilly will, of course, have more coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. And new details emerge in the death of roller rink owner Larry Billings. Channel 7's Catherine Yancey has a live report in a half hour. And Matt Johnson continues coverage of the capture of Curtis Reese Jr. He joins us now with a preview. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Beth. Well, at 6, we're going to look a little bit deeper about the spot where Reese may have been hiding. We took a trip about 20 minutes from here into one of the caves that had some supplies in it that may have belonged to him, actually. And we caught up with a man who was actually confused for Reese this morning and actually had some guns pointed at him, but actually ended up helping authorities find Reese. So we're going to have a lot more for you at 6 o'clock about the capture of Curtis Reese. Beth.
I just heard yes, power.
Okay, Matt Johnson, thanks so much. We'll see you at 6 o'clock.
And that's going to do it for us today on Live at 5 from the River Market. Thanks again for watching.
We'll, of course, have more Arkansas news in 30 minutes following World News with Diane Sawyer. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.